let's say, the broad idea of non-duality? You have a little bit.
I was able to feel the energy. I didn't have to turn around.
So you know what it means? You know what non-duality means,
I
right?
could feel
Not
the
two.
energy. What?
It's more of a negation than any kind of affirmation.
Really?
So not two is the message. It doesn't imply there's one. It's just not two. This is just the way I see it. You know, other people may have a different definition. But,
Open source.
to me, when some people say non-duality, it sounds like a thing. Yes? Non-duality, but it's really emphasizes it's not a thing by saying not to. Yeah? And the whole point of the message is always negating the idea of being a thing. Yeah? So there's not two, not one, and then you find out what you are. But you get to a point where you're not using the failed system to try to know it, because you've entertained that it's failed. Yeah? The system of knowing isn't working, at least in this topic. Yeah? To find yourself, it's not a path of knowing. It's a path of knowing what you're not knowing what you are. And this is just, this is my opinion. I'm not saying it's written in stone, but from looking at it and entertaining it for a while, that became one of the clearest points, because it explained a lot of what had happened in my life concerning this topic of, let's say, spirituality or freedom or truth, whatever, however you want to coin it. It really produced like a huge tremor in my experiential tree, so to speak. All the things I did seem to have done. They were framed in a certain format. That's the dilemma, really. It's not that the format didn't find the right thing. The format is what's off. Yeah? So I was assuming I was something, and then based on that assumption, there was an opinion that I was lacking quite a lot. Yeah? And I needed to know something to make myself better in a way, something that I wasn't knowing. And so I pursued it. From that point, I didn't, but this was the expression of the mind in this little manifestation. So, and I proceeded to go down a well-worn path of dualism, which is doing and having. Yes. So I started to do stuff that I read, and the stuff seemed more important because it may have had thousands of years of backing it up. You know what I mean? This was introduced like 500 BC. Okay, so all right. So it meant a lot to me. So I figured I'm going to do and have myself into a spiritual state, let's say, or a state of being. So, and that failed miserably. And when it was failing, the whole system was expressing itself perfectly, and I didn't notice it, which is the failure was laid at my doorstep. Something was wrong with me. I didn't meditate long enough. I didn't do enough pranams. I didn't prostrate to the right person. Somehow the system was perfect. It's worked in the past for maybe many people, but it's not working for me because of me. Yeah? So again, it became self-centered. The whole system that was sort of advertising, at least in my mind, to get out of self was another way of being in self, but in a much more subtle way, because you're feeling like you're getting out of something, but in fact that's the expression of being in it. Yeah, it's freaking a trick. So it nabs you. So and especially if the movement seems to be clothed in nobility, it's even more binding. Yeah, because now you're a spiritual person, or you're a meditator. Before I was a junkie, but now I'm a meditator. It was like a big upgrade. I was working a whole new community, and then stuff like that, and I could meditate a lot. I could. I remember I'd go on those retreats. I made sure I listened to every foot leave the temple, and I was always trying to be the last one, because the last meant the most. I meditated longer, and then someone would say, "Yeah, you're a good meditator." Oh yes, I am. And then God forbid someone would say on it like a bus, a stranger, "Oh, you're so bright." Oh, that was it. I could feed off of that for months, you know what I mean? Now I'm bright. It's showing. What I'm doing is showing. So the whole system of trying to get out of self was just embellishing another form of self. Yeah. Instead of wearing, you know, leather jackets and tattoos, I was wearing like yoga pants, you know, and those 3-button shirts from India. Much more relaxing, but really there was not much of a difference. It was the same, you know, it just looked differently. So when I came in, I remember the first video we did was at my friend John Claude's apartment, and called The Lion and the Sheep and the Lion. Because that had an important effect on me. Because it was sort of like, the message really isn't that important. It's what hears the message. Yeah, that's the key. So you can't. It's not just that you're a messenger. You got to be an ear doctor. You got to check out how people are hearing it, because the reference of self-centeredness is very strong. And what happens is, in this staged idea of time, it's a very fast draw. It's already set up before you know it. And you're starting from that setup point as if that's the original point of departure, where it isn't. It's a couple of steps beyond it, yeah? So when the idea of the sheep and the lion, it got around to, because there was that old Hindu story about the lion and the sheep, and then I just took it to, all right, let's say a group of sheep got together and they were tired of being oppressed and they hated, you know, lining up to be turned into sweaters and everything like that. And they wanted to kick some freaking proverbial ass, you know? So they were looking to see, sort of get to be a better sheep or something, so get some other qualities that they don't have. So maybe they fell upon a book, an old book with stories about lions, and then they sort of liked, hey, I like everyone respects the lion, this and that. No freaking guy's going to come near me with shears, you know what I mean? Rah, you know, this and that. All right, I'd like to get to become like a lion. Yeah, sounds noble. And maybe a few people, they're really like sheep, you know, they stay with the norm. But a few of them break off and they rent a little room, you know what I mean? They get some candles, they get some pictures of old lions, and they put it up there. And they have little meetings. They have no freaking idea, really, but they start having meetings. And maybe they even have one sheep that decides to become the main speaker. So when he speaks, he has pictures of lions as if he's from their lineage. You know what I mean? Oh yes, this great old lion. I read one thing he wrote, so I'm a devotee. Of course, they're all dead, so therefore there's no threat. You know what I mean? The dead master is the best master to have, because he'll never disagree with you. You know what I mean? But so there's the sheep, and they get together and they have. You know, they start having like hair straightening. You know, they're trying to get a mane. They're trying to look like what they want to be, and they're having like, you know, roaring lessons. You know, and they have some, like from Jungle Book. They have some audio from the lion that roared, whatever, and they're listening to it over and over again. So they're attempting to roar, and you know, they're basically checking out their own progress. You sound like a lion today. It's still a bob, but so oh yeah, it's getting more like a roar, you know. But no, it's a bob. And you know, the hair, you know, they go out in humidity, it frays out immediately. Comes curls. They can't seem to keep the mane together and stuff. And no one's really acting as if they're anything like a lion. You know what I mean? They're still cutting their little hair and making it into sweaters and stuff like that. And so, but in their little group, you know, they're feeling like, all right, Biff is closer to being a lion than I am, you know, and because he's working harder at it. So the dilemma isn't that it isn't like the sheep's dilemma is that they're having a difficult time becoming like a lion, is that what's going unnoticed is the identification as being a sheep. That's not being questioned. All the while they're progressing in the pursuit of becoming like a lion. The dilemma is the sheep identification is totally immune to all of that. You can become like a lion as long as you freaking want, but what's going to become like a lion is going to be the sheep. Yeah? So this I heard, And it made a profound impact because I went to talks where different people were doing it in my little pursuit when I first heard this in like 97 or something. I listened to them, and I don't know if it was triggering the same thing in other people, but I would be hearing the message from the idea of being Paul. Yeah? And then immediately the idea of being Paul makes something out of this message. It doesn't hear the message as it's really intended, sort of like you're a lion, yeah? You're a lion, you're a lion. It hears that and goes, yeah, 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 I like it. You're a lion, you're a lion, you're a lion. But as soon as it's caught by the sheep ear, it gets turned into I can become like a lion. Yeah? So now the lion, which is its piercing information is to puncture the idea of being a sheep, is now morphing into making it more like a sheep. Yeah, this is a trick. Yeah? So the idea is, okay, I can be like a lion, I'm a lion, I'm a lion. But to check out the ear and see what's hearing it. Yeah? Or like in this example, there's a movie about this guy who's like working on this dark side of the moon, and he's at this point they found a new energy source on the moon, and they're harvesting it to to drive everything on Earth. And they have this one guy, and he works on this huge place, and he's got a 5-year contract. He's got 3 weeks left, and he's got his little place he sits. He has pictures of his family and everything. He's got a Boston Red Sox hat. He has his whole life about being on Earth, yeah, but he's going to get back there in about 2 weeks, and then suddenly something happens. One of the machine breaks, and so the the central director sends a message: go out and check this thing out. And he drives out there, and he finds a spacesuit, and there's someone in it, and they seem to be alive. So he gets the thing, takes it back to the base, and when he takes the helmet off, it looks just like him, yeah. And so the guy wakes up, but he doesn't. The guy likes the Yankees, and he's fucking anxious. This guy, he's got a different personality, but he's got the same body. So now he starts. The guy says, "Hey, if there's 2 of us, there can't be one of us." You know what I mean? If you think you're so special, but you look just like me, and I'm thinking I'm so special, and I look just like you, then maybe, yeah. And the guy goes, "All right," and he says, "Let's go down," and they explore the station, and they find these tubes down below, and there's thousands of them there.
Oh, God.
Yeah? So what happens is these are clones that work the machines, and for them to work best and to be engaged in their job, they program as a person so that they can really work hard, so they get, they're going to make all this money and then go back to Earth in 2 weeks. Yeah? So they have a program of being a person, but they're a clone. Okay? Now they see thousands of clones, and obviously it's the most demonstrative the truth could ever be. They see them, thousands of them. Yeah? So the message hits them. Hey, you're a clone. There's absolutely no dispute. All the evidence is in. But what receives the message is the human programming. The clone doesn't hear the message of being a clone. The human program hears the message of being a clone. Yeah? The lion that you are doesn't hear the message that you're a lion. The sheep that you think you are is what hears the message that you're a lion. And it happens so fast, you, as what you take yourself to be, is never going to get behind it. You're always after the fact. In other words, when the mitt goes up and it's going to catch the ball. That mitt isn't you. Yeah? So you're going to hear this message tonight about you're not that, but you're going to hear it as that. Yeah? And when you hear it as that's tendency is to make this message into something that doesn't fit into the message, but fits into what you're not. So that you can make sense of it as what you're not, instead of questioning the you that you're not. Yeah? Because this message makes absolutely no sense to what you're not. Yeah? It doesn't have any logic. People may not even notice it. You're probably not gonna have thousands of followers. Yes? Who wants to even write a book about nothing? Yeah? You're not gonna have, it's hard to have like a 3-year retreat on nothing. Yeah? How can I have a more intense nothing than I had today? It's not like, all right, if you like this message, you gotta sign up for a longer version of it, like a 3-month retreat. It makes no sense because this message is an invitation and you're the product. Yeah? Just question, are you a sheep? Question what's hearing the message. Not so much the message, because basically the same idea is catching every fucking ball that's thrown at you. Yeah? And it beats you to the punch. You're a sheep before you know it. Yeah. The feeling of being you is a process. It's been produced, and we're starting our life from there. That's why if you look at it, life is happening, but very rarely are people experiencing that way. They're interpreting as life is happening to me. If you're so used to it, you'll think it's the same. You'll think it's the real life. But if you get a taste of what life really is, you'll see it's an interpretation. You'll see that the mental process is interpreting everything before you actually catch it. Its mitt comes before your mitt. Yeah? Every freaking time. So this is like going to that. You can talk about the void and the spacious nothingness. When you hear the void, doesn't it sound like a thing? The void, it's in like Vacaville or somewhere. I heard about the void. The void, the void. The conceptual mind cannot do anything with it but make it into something. So for you to understand it as the sheep, it has to be totally understandable as what it is. It has to be made into something for you to get it. Yeah? And therefore what you get ain't it. And it goes on and on and on. It's not like you're going to hit the lottery once and you're going to finally, I made it into exactly what it is. No, you haven't, nor will you ever. Yeah? So the point is what's receiving, what's hearing, what's seeing, what's feeling, what's tasting, what's touching. And I'll throw you a little possibility. What's seen can't be seen. What's hearing cannot be heard. What's feeling cannot be felt. What's tasting cannot be tasted. What's thinking cannot be thought of. Yeah. The processes can't be turned on to find the processee, because there's no thing processing. There's just process. Everything is verbing. There's no noun that's behind it all. If you look behind the curtain of the Wizard of Oz, there's no one there. That's the immediacy of it. And then what you were presenting as a giant projection of years and years of spiritual practice rams you right now. The immediacy just crushes your idea of time and fucking relevance, yeah? Because you have a belief that you've done so many bad things, I'm pretty far away from what's really true. You're not. You've never moved an inch. Yeah? Whatever happens in the sky never leaves a lasting mark on the sky. Your mind is like skylight, big M mind. Yeah? All this stuff that's going on in it is not influencing or affected one bit. What you are has never blinked, it never went oops, oops, oops. Never. It's incessantly available at all times, right where you are. We just don't think so. So what we want to do to feel important is make this incredible circuitous route to get back to where we already are. Because that way we'll believe we did something, that it means something, that it makes sense. I understand it now. I had to do this and this. I've had to purify for 12 years or 12 lifetimes to get ready to receive this. You can't receive it. You're it. You're transmitting it. You want to be receiver of it. You're the transmitter of it. I don't think so. That's exactly right. That's the difference between heaven and hell, like in Zen they say. One thought can be like 10,000 miles. Yeah. One thought, I am, boop, you're off. Yeah? I am what? Fill in. I am a junkie, I'm recovered, I'm this. You've never been any of that. Those things have come and they've gone. Yeah? But you never left. Someone said to me yesterday, he got another message he's heard, which is, all right, you've chosen to be a body, you chose to be the mental process, and you can choose not just to be awareness, but pure awareness. As if there's an unpure awareness. Pure awareness, all right? I mean, you don't see it? It's like when you go to those rich restaurants, they'll sell you a potato, but the description on the menu is, it's a golden Yukon, grown on the northern slope of the Portland Mountains, and then you pay $25 for all the adjectives. It's a spud. It's a potato. But awareness. No, pure awareness. Oh, I want that one. You couldn't tell the difference. If awareness and pure awareness showed up, you wouldn't. Oh, wait a minute. What? Pure awareness. Jesus Christ. Oops, you lost. Oh no, I got the unpure awareness. The dog shit awareness. You mean I'm going to feel normal the rest of my life? Yeah. There won't be any specialness. No one will even know what's going on. There won't be any ticker tape spiritual parades for you. No one will even, oh, no, no, no. They'll fucking deny you and fucking argue with you. No, no, no. So, all right. So, okay. I chose, he's going to be mad if he hears this, but what the hell. I chose being a body. I chose being the mind. And I can choose being pure awareness. Yeah? All right? So they sound like three things, but where's the one constant in it? You, yes? You. You don't see it? Pure awareness, you. Mental, you. Body, you. Yeah? Go to the you. Find out who the fuck that is. Yeah? And then you may not want it, you may not need to go to pure awareness. Yeah. You'll be relieved of the need to be liberated, which is much better than liberation. I'm telling you. Liberation is an idea. To be freed from the need of all those ideas to come true or to show up is the real freedom. Freedom from. Not freedom through or for or as or by. Freedom from. That's where the relief lies. Yeah. So then I said, well, maybe you got your wish because there's a body. You know what I mean? He said, yeah. He says, like he was at the point of choosing. Maybe you chose, bro. You're talking to me and it looks like you're Kevin. So. So the point to me is simply this. If you explain about the void, know what's going to be hearing it, what you're not. Yeah? If you explain about the eternal bliss, what's going to be thinking is going to get some of that, that you're not. Yeah? But if you question what you are, the end's there. If you're not that, that's that. It's not immediately, all right, now I'm going to try to find the void. None of that, all that gets dismissed. You just realize what you're not, and then you find out what you are. You can't know it, you can't have an experience of it, but I'll tell you something, it influences all your experiences from that point on. Yeah? To me, it turns into a statement called traveling lighter. That's what will happen in this life. Won't promise to change the geography of your life, but you'll travel lighter over it. Consistently. Yeah. It will stabilize. Influence all your experiences. So some people tell me they're addicted to experiences. They believe that if they acquire enough spiritual experiences, it will amass to such a critical mass they'll have a spiritual awakening. You know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. A spiritual awakening isn't an experience, it's a state. Yeah? The mind, it's not even a state, but let's use the example of it. Your mind, instead of being in the experiential level, it's now resting in a state. And from there, the state influences the experiences. Instead of trying to produce a state through the experiences, you're in the state influencing all your experiences. So now you don't have to go, you can go to the market just like you'd go to a retreat. Yeah? When you go you'll be exactly what you were before you came into this talk, during this talk, and after you leave. Nothing will have changed one bit. Yeah? That's called something that's truly reliable because it's not a something. Its quality is not of this place. Therefore, it overruns the idea of time. There's no need for processes. It's just an availability. What I find is I needed to be able to hear the information. I heard the information. I entertained it. That's why we do these talks. It's just to put it out there. Because all the while I was practicing all the stuff calling spiritual, not one of them brought me to this information. I had to go to a meeting, hear it from somebody, and then I went home and entertained it for a couple of years, and I played around with it. I went to hear some people speak and this and that, and then the mind shifted sufficiently that an immunity built up to the system of thought that reinforces and produces the sense of being a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. This feeling of being a body. And that body is just the starting point. It's the feeling of being the doer and the haver of everything. Yeah? So when seeing is occurring now, I sense the seeing, which is incredibly spacious. Before, I interpret it as I'm the seer and you're the seen. Yeah? Hearing is an unbelievable event, but before it was interpreted as hearer and heard. Yeah? So whatever's going on was put into a dualistic construct. And then the double whammy is you want to try to squeeze that two-ness into oneness. Non-duality is not a thing. It's a negation. No thing. There's not two. That's it. It doesn't say there's one, not two. That's all. Start there, and then from that point on, you find out all your information gathering is done. Now it's time to entertain. Yeah. Entertain the possibility. If you seem to forget, then you come back to a meeting like this, or you listen to something, and instead of taking hours and hours to get back to the point, it may take one sentence of an old scripture. And then you'll see how familiar and that you're at least in the vicinity of that space. Yeah? You're not like 8, zip codes away. You're right there. All you need is like little reminders. They don't have to be 4 hours. Yeah? They can be a simple interpretation, a simple invitation. A simple statement like St. Francis says, what's looking is what you're looking for. That can stop you right in the tracks. Why waste 800 pages of reading when you can get it in like 5-word statement? What's looking is what you're looking for. What the hell does he mean there? Exactly what it says. What's looking is what you are looking for. What's causing us not to find it is the looking for it. Stops you right in your tracks. Yeah. But what happens? Then here comes the story again. Geez, just stay in the pause. The pause is what you really are. The pause. It's sort of like, that's your original face, like they say in Zen. It's not a face. Yeah? We're in pauses all the time, but it immediately gets morphed into, it's like a speed bump to the story of being a self. You have a miracle 10 in the morning, you've forgotten it by 12. You have a seeming resentment of 30 years ago, you're mulling it over every freaking day. The head that's navigating your life is biased. Yeah? It has an agenda you may not be aware of. You can see it all. If you look at one little snippet of its activity, you'll get the whole theme. Look at it this way. If you're having a good day, how long does it last for you in your head? Before you get suspicious, or I don't deserve this, when are they going to find out? When's, this girl's going to realize I'm an asshole, yes? But the same head, if it's having a bad day, it's a lifelong depression starting, yes? Jesus Christ. So it takes the good, shrinks it, and it elongates what you would call the bad. You want that as your theme, etc., your whole life? Look at the thought system. Check it out. It will tell you so freaking much. Yeah? Look at the thought system. The thoughts, do they value this moment, or do they value yesterday or tomorrow? They're in this field. This is the only field they can roam, but they make up imaginary fields of the past and the future. Yes? To do what? To avoid this moment. Yeah? So they make yesterday more important than today, and they make tomorrow more important than today, incessantly. All right, you've just seen the value of the whole system. Every time you go back there, that's going to be unwavering. It's never going to change. Yeah? Oh, far out. That's interesting to know. Yeah, because but the whole point is, it's supposed to be working for my happiness, joy, and freedom now, but all of its plans are about there and then. Yeah? Because why? It can't deliver the goods. How do you know that? All right, let's check it out. If a failed system, let's say I'm a furniture deliverer, and I've never missed an appointment. The furniture's always been in perfect shape when I deliver it. I'm always on time. Nothing happens. Would I need any excuses, rationale, or blame? No. So, all right, let's see what happens in one's head. Is there excuses up there? Rationale and blame? I would say that's the exhaust of a failed system. That's the pollution it produces. It has to blame someone because it hasn't produced the goods. It has to rationalize and excuse itself constantly by pointing the finger at family of origin, the cops, this or that, or blah, 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 blah. The fact is, if it hasn't delivered the goods, it probably won't. Yeah? But we're still waiting. We're always living on false hope. Yeah? We're devotees to this thing. How could a system of thought that's dwelling on yesterday and tomorrow produce an effect now? How could it? How could an effect be produced by me thinking about 2 weeks from now? How could, now, the effect would be right now in the body, emotional, mental condition, yes? How could it do it? Can 2 weeks from now have an effect now? Can thoughts about 2 weeks have an effect now? Only if they're held as my thoughts, yeah? Because then the mind that is assuming going to be there in 2 weeks is very, very important to me. And therefore, the worrying makes a lot of sense. I want to make sure I can use this incredibly workable system to make sure I'm going to be okay 2 weeks from now. Yeah? I wouldn't go there for anyone else, unless they were maybe my kids, but I'll go there for me. I'll go 30 years in the future. I'll go 20 years in the past. Yeah? If someone came over my house and started telling me their problems 20 years ago, I'd be bored in like a minute. But I'm sitting there just incredibly, oh, it's just unbelievable. It's like if we had a marquee outside this building and there was a movie theater and it said Paul's story, yeah? So of course about 30 Pauls would show up with the hope that it's going to be about them. And then maybe a couple of girls who went out with a Paul, they'd show up to be right about what a fucking asshole Paul is. So they come in here and then, so they come in and we're all sitting there and we're waiting, we're all enthusiastic. And there's the jujubes are stale, but we forget about it, you know, and the popcorn sucks. And it sort of smells in the theater, but this is about me, I can just overlook all that. So I know who it's about, so I've locked everything, yeah? So now the movie starts. Takes maybe a minute or two, everyone realizes it's not about them. They're bored stiff. Now the jujubes suck. This smells, let's get out of here. But I'm still sitting there. The phone's gonna ring. Is it my fairy princess? Did I get the job? Oh, there's 4 more rings, and I'm totally enthralled by it. Why? The movie sucks. Everyone else has realized it. It's about me. That's all you need to be totally up the ass of self, is to think that idea of self is you. You'll go up there willingly. You've moved in there. It stinks to high heaven. Instead of dealing with it, you buy air fresheners. And it's gotten to such a point, like we said the other day, we need like a spiritual proctologist to pull us out of that ass of self. Literally, would you listen to anyone for long if they were bitching about something that wasn't happening? Unless you wanted to sleep with them or some kind of interest. You know what I mean? I would sit and listen to a woman talk about a cat on our first date. But if we went horizontal that night, I wouldn't sit for a half hour of the cat talk the next day. As soon as I got what I thought I wanted, fuck this. I don't want to hear about this freaking cat. But, you know.
I'm out of here.
Exactly. Well, let's be honest. But we constantly go down that well-worn path of what happened, what's going to happen, drop the bucket in the well, and we still expect to get something out of it. It's fucking empty. Yeah? Its whole point is to do one thing and one thing only. Displace your attention from right now to there and then. Because where self appears is in the past and in the future. The self has to be remembered. It doesn't have its own light. It's an idea. You weren't in it when you were a baby. You grew up into it, yeah? You took this idea of being a someone. It wasn't the first feeling you ever had. It probably took about 18 months for it started to get developed in a child's head, yeah? Okay? And then it's been reinforced ever since. And the whole language reinforces it. You listen to just a couple of statements during the day. I remember I went back east, hadn't been there in a while, my hair had grown. So people are saying, oh, you're growing your hair, Paul, it looks really good. And there I am, proud of my hair growing, you know. Yes, I've been growing my hair, it's coming out nice, eh? Yes, you're not doing a good job growing your hair. Mine looks fucking great. You know? And I joined a group and we grow our hair together, and you know, it grows longer with people. The whole insane is, the language implies I have something to do with something I have nothing to do with. As long as I don't cut the hair, it keeps growing. I'm not sitting there growing it, yes? But the language is doing this all day. It's making a statement as if you have something to do with something you have nothing to do with. You are not the seer, the hearer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher, or the doer. Doing's happening through this, seeing's happening through this, hearing's happening through this. But I'll tell you, if this died and you didn't get hurt here, and they took an eye out of your head and put it in a live body, you would see again. But if it put, and then immediately, as soon as they saw it seeing, they took it out and put in your, it wouldn't see. They could do it 1,000 times. There's no way in hell it would see through the dead body. There's got to be that life in it. The eye only facilitates seeing. It's not what's seeing. You only facilitate doing. You're not the doer. You're only facilitating thinking. You're not the thinker. You're only facilitating hearing. You're not the hearer. Yeah. And that seemingly very small mistake geometrically progresses day in and day out in time and in actions and in thoughts and in feelings. Every feeling is held as my feeling. Every thought, I'm the thinker, or I'm the one that's thought about. Every action, I'm the doer of it. You don't see the bondage of self? It's being applied every day. We're the ones that are putting that shackles on ourselves all freaking day. And then we want to have a savior come and save us, and we'll end up hating them. Because we'll realize that thing that we're not doesn't want to be free. It wants to look like it's free to other people. It doesn't want to be free from that. It's got an agenda. It's like, here something's vying for us, this possibility, and let's say you want to call it a mental parasite. It's vying to use this possibility to express itself through. It ain't giving you up an inch to you, what you are. Yeah? It's like if you look at this event, you take a snake, and every year a snake molts, yeah? Of course, it's not molting. The snake isn't dropping its own skin. It's an event that happens in what you call snake life, right? Every year, the skin